everything will still fit. And since this Thursday, is Chai El, the birthday of both the Alter Rebbe and the Baal Shem Tov, so we will be connecting the topics from the beginning of the Mamar with that. And we were speaking about how the month of the Elul is called the month of mercy, where everything that we're doing, the taking into account Chodesh HaCheshvan of the previous year, and the month of preparation for the coming years in the way of compassion and mercy. And the Rebbe spoke about this is all in the three lines of Torah, Avodah, and Gemilas Hasadim, and Tshuva, which is also included in the Rosh Tevis of El לדודי, ודודי also has Rosh Tevis, an acronym for Torah study and doing acts of kindness and davening and Tshuva. And we also spoke at length about the idea of Sur Merav Asei Toiv, that you turn away from the bad, meaning the delight and the physical, and instead you pursue the delight and enjoyable part of the spiritual part that is manifest in a physical item, and then you make peace between the material and the physical, and then you pursue in a way of a great love and desire for connecting with Hashem. So that was all more or less what we spoke about earlier, which has to do, it's a general thing, like he said, for the general month of El. Now we're going to connect this to Chai Elul. We're also going to connect it with the parsha of this week, Parshas Kisavai. So we are starting from the 5th page of the printouts, the bottom of the page, Oishei, line 27, 2 lines from the bottom. V'hinei noisav al klos havoida b'cheshbon. In addition to the avoida of making a month of accounting for the previous year. That how does he make this accounting? He does it in such a way that he indicates that he wishes to, and he begins to pay back the debt that he owes through tshuva, like we explained before, the mashal of the Baal Shem Tov, like someone that had taken items on credit, and then it comes a time to pay back his creditor, and when he shows that he's sincere and he really wants to pay back and he's trying to pay back, the creditor willingly forgives him. The same thing. Hashem gave us a good and sweet year, and for that we owe him our avodah of Torah and mitzvahs. So even if we have not completely fulfilled our obligation, and we still owe Hashem, but when we show sincerely the Samashal Baal Shem Tov that we really wish to pay back the debt, and we try to do so through the avodah of tshuva and so on in the month of El, so Hashem forgives us everything. And slichus, that's the idea of slichus from the word forgiveness. He forgives us everything in the past, and gives us again on credit in the future. So it says, She'inyan Zev, line 2, Nas b'meshach kol chodesh El. This happens throughout the entire month of El, Chodesh HaRachmim, the month of mercy and compassion. Shechodar kuloi ba'agilui d'shlois midas harachmim k'fi she'en ba'ifn the Malch Basad. It's completely permeated in the revelation of the 13 attributes of mercy, the way they are in a king in the field. This is more or less a summary of what we spoke about earlier in the Mamar. So in addition to the accounting that we're supposed to do in the month of Elul in a general sense for what went on in the past, there's also the accounting for the previous year, and more specifically, in the final 12 days of the month of Elul, that they begin on the 18th of Elul, on Chai El, like the statement of our Rebbe and leader, the Frierdiker Rebbe, my father-in-law, in the 12 days, beginning from the 18th of El until the 29th of El, the last day of the year. So there needs to be the accounting for the previous year in a way that every day we are taking and accounting and improving and elevating the corresponding month to that day. Beginning from the 18th of El itself, the Rebbe emphasizes that the accounting is in a way of mercy. It's not an accounting in a way to lead him to depression or anger or upset and so on. It's in a merciful way, in a happy way, in a joyous way. That he makes an accounting on the 18th of El, on the Chodesh Tishrei of the beginning of the year, on the month of Tishrei of Tafshin Pei Hey. And according to the way he begins making the cheshbon and the accounting for the year, starting with the month of Tishrei. So then, according to this, is established the manner in which he will make an accounting for all the other 12 months of the year. So the beginning determines and inspires how we will go about making the accounting for the month of Cheshvan on the 19th of El, how we will make the accounting for the month of Kislev on the 20th of El, etc., etc. So the Rebbe explains what that means. Second paragraph on the page, line 15. The idea behind this is, it's known, the phrase, the axiom of the early Chassidim, concerning the 18th of El, the birthday of the two great luminaries, the Baal Shem Tov and the Baal Shem Tov and the Alter Rebbe, the day of Chai Elul, the day of the birthday of these two great luminaries, Mamshich Chayus B'chol Inyonei Avodas Chodesh Elul. It draws down vitality and energy in all matters of the avodah of the month of El, which we spoke about earlier in the Mamar. There's the avodah in Torah, and there's the avodah in mitzvahs, and the avodah in Sumerah, and the avodah Vasei Toiv. So in addition to drawing down all these types of vitality and energy and all of these things in our avodah, there's also what our avodah accomplishes. It also is the day that brings vitality into also whatever we draw down in the month of El. So whatever we've accomplished and whatever we've drawn down in the month of El becomes affected by the chayis, and whatever we're going to draw down is affected by the chayis, vitality and energy of Chai El. According to what we said earlier, Sif Dalet. Concerning what we said, turn away from bad and doing good. The vitality of everything, which is the godliness, the godly spark that resides in everything, that is the good in it. And that's what it means, Asay Toiv. You should look and you should focus on the good that's in everything, the vitality in it. So connecting the vitality with the idea of Asay Toiv, he's now connecting it with the vitality and life of Chayel. Yes, Leimar, the Rebbe says in the middle of line 22, we could say, in the 18th of El, that then the great luminary started to illuminate. In this low world, comes down the empowerment for the avoid of the month of El. Should be not only in the idea of turning away from bad, not only in the negative. Don't focus on the material enjoyment. Don't focus on the pleasure that you derive from the material food, the physical sleep or whatever. But rather, since about Chayes, Chayel, Elagam be'inyan dasei toiv shuin nachayes chulu. So what we are empowered on the 18th of El, which is about Chayes and vitality, is to help us focus on the vitality of every physical thing. The vitality of every physical thing is the godly life force. Since Chai El is about the life force and vitality of the month of El, it empowers us to look for, see, identify, connect with the life force and vitality of every single thing, the godly spark that's in everything. To such a degree, to to the avoid of searching out peace that we spoke about earlier in the Mamar, that there becomes peace between both the turning away from the material enjoyment and pursuing in that material item the spiritual component, and even more so pursue it. This idea of the rushing and the will, like we mentioned earlier. Last paragraph, 3 lines from the bottom. Yes, if we could add, Indians said this idea, that the Chai Elul's avoida has to also be concerning the rushing and the will, like we said, the rod feyu, pursuing it, that you need to rush and have this excitement and passion to make this peace between the physical and material and to search out the spiritual and everything. Mivur gam b'toras Baal Shem Tov. It's also explained in the Torah of the Baal Shem Tov, Shenamra b'Chai El, that was said on Chai El after he passed away. This was something that the Baal Shem Tov said in Gan Eden, that the Rebbe Rashab told over to the previous Rebbe, that was said in Gan Eden in the year Tav Reish Nun Beis, 1892. Al Mash and Namra Parsha Shavuot, that the Baal Shem Tov said in Gan Eden on Chai El Tav Reish Nun Beis, what it says in the Parsha of our week, it'll be when you will come to the land. So the Rebbe, so the Baal Shem Tov explained, what does it mean when you will come to the land? When a Jewish person reaches a state and situation of rushing and will, eretz meloshen merutza. The word eretz is from the word merutza, and rushing, like we said before, rushing and will. So when a person reaches that level, ki savayela aretz, you have arrived at the earth, you have arrived at the land. So then, she'inyan zehu ba'ofen shel nesina, and the way how he reaches it is because it's a gift that Hashem gave to him. Like it says, Ela Oretz, it says in the pasuk, Asher Nosan Elekecha, that Hashem Avai Elekecha Noisin Loch, that Avai your God gives to you. He said, V'gam ba'ofen shel Yerusha. It's also in a way of an inheritance, like it says, V'yorashta. So it's not just a gift, but it's something that you will inherit, which has. A gift has certain qualities and advantages that inheritance doesn't have. Inheritance is something that goes over even to a young child for no reason, etc. Azai, the Baal Shem Tov explains, when you come to that rushing desire and want of Hashem, so then what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to go ahead and you're supposed to take that, and you're supposed to immerse that within you. You're supposed to embed it. So he says in line 5, then the avoida is to settle in it or to settle it. To bring this will in a way of hisyashvus, of being settled, meaning that it's something that becomes part of you. Sometimes a person can become excited and passionate, but he doesn't know what to do with it. I'm all excited about Yiddishkeit. We need to anchor it. We need to bring it into something practical. What is now going to be my commitment? Now that I'm all excited, comes the new year, I'm very excited about doing things for Hashem. We need good resolutions. We need to bring it down to the practical world. So how does it express itself? One of the ways is, so he says in line 6, in such a manner, he's playing off of the pasuk. He's taking different words of the pasuk and explaining it in a spiritual sense. That you will go to the place that Hashem Elokecha will choose The simple pshat over there, it's talking about the mitzvah of Bikurim, the first fruits, that he has to go to the place that Hashem will choose, meaning you have to go to the place of the Beis HaMikdash and present it there to the Kohen, etc. But here, he explains something else, that the makom is connected with Hashem's choice. The fact that you are halachta to a certain place, that is Hashem's choice. So instead of reading it, El HaMakom Asher Yivcha Hashem Elokecha, rather, you should read it, V'halachta el hamakom kama asher yivcha Hashem v'yalekecha. Let's see it inside, middle of line 7. Hainu, this means, Sheb'chol makom sheish Yisrael hoilich, in every single place that a Jewish person travels, all of Ladas, it's incumbent upon him to know, Sha'akadosh Baruch Hu bachar oisoi, that Hashem chose him specifically, her specifically, this person specifically, and ubachar es hamakom, and Hashem chose that place lehaviyasham, to bring that person there. It was nothing chas v'shalom by chance. This was done intentionally with a choice of Hashem. What was the purpose? Kedei lifal sham avedasai, so that the Yid should do his work over there v'ad letachlis hadavar, until the goal and the purpose of the work. Why did Hashem bring him to do his work over there? L'shakin shmoi sham, to make Hashem's name rest over there. So again, the Rebbe is playing off at a simple meaning. The simple meaning is Hamakim Asher Yivcha Hashem l'shakin shmoi sham. He calls the Beis HaMikdash the place that Hashem chose to make his name reside over there. Instead, the Rebbe is explaining it. V'halachta el hamakom. You're going to a place. You're traveling to wherever in the world. You're traveling to the United States. Why are you traveling there? You travel there because Asher Yivchar Hashem, because Hashem chose you, and Hashem chose you to come to this place. And what was the reason? Because L'shakin Shmoi Sham, because Hashem wants you to be the person that's going to bring His name to dwell in that place. And how does one do it? That's like what we're talking about the whole time in the Mamar, line 11. This is accomplished through the turning away from bad and doing good, searching out peace and pursuing it. How is this turning away from bad and doing good and making peace between them, pursuing it? How does it become established and settled? It becomes established and settled through the avodah in the 3 lines of Torah, avodah, and gemilas chasadim that we said before is hinted in the Rosh Tevis of Elul as well. Shebechol echad mehem, in each one of these, in the Torah specifically, in the Avodah particularly, in the Gemilas Chasadim, yeshnam prote anyonim, the Surmarava Seiter Baksham Rodfeik Mivur Makmacha Barucha. There's all the specifics of the turning away from bad and looking for the good, etc., etc. Like it's explained somewhere else at length. Shal Yodam Ha'olam Oimed. It says that upon these 3 things, Torah, Avodah, Gemilas Chasadim, the world stands upon it. And standing means a kiyum nitzchi. It has an everlasting type of existence. So the Rebbe goes on to say, Vaidei, line 18, Vaidei zesh avoida momati boifin shal merutzarat feyu, through the fact that the avoida from below is no way of rushing, that you are pursuing this to do your avodah. So everything is midah keneged midah. When we do things in a way that we are rushing to do Hashem's will, we are pursuing Hashem's will, so Hashem in turn does the same for us. That the way how He gives us our needs is also with speed and a rushing way. So then what comes down from above is also no way of rushing. Like it says, that very quickly His words will rush. In other words, His command will rush. Like it's explained in the advantage and the special quality of the bracha of the koyanim, that the reason and the purpose of the bracha of the koyanim is to affect things that the brachas that are there waiting for us should come down speedily. And the idea of Birchas Kohanim is not just something that's for the Kohanim, but really it's connected to every Yid, the Rebbe says in the brackets, because all Yid are considered a nation of Kohanim. Let's skip over the brackets where what I just now said, line 24. That the way it comes down is a way that speedily his words will rush, his command will rush. This is the positive idea of almonds, that almonds show, like the almond staff of Aaron outside of the oil moed showed that it sprouted forth almonds, because that was the showing on the speed of the brach of the kohanim. V'hainu, this means practically that it comes speedily, the being written and sealed for a good year. Like it's explained concerning, it says in the pasuk that Hashem's eyes are in it, upon it, in Eretz Yisrael, from the beginning of the year until the end of the year. Now, if you will notice, the word reishis, which ordinarily is spelled with an aleph between the reish and the shin, just like the word bereishis has an aleph, here it's spelled without an aleph. So for that reason, the Chazal derive that the reishis is related to the word rosh, meaning poor. What does that mean? So the Gemara says as follows, last line, line 28. Rosha b'tchilasa u'misasheres b'soifa. A year that is poor at its beginning becomes rich at the end. This means that when a person is in a state of bittul at the beginning of the year, so then that makes sure that bittul at the beginning of the year allows them to have the concept of the hamshacha that has to come down from above in a way of riches, in a way of a full flow. The next page. So the Rebbe says that what does it mean, a year that is poor at the beginning and then it's rich at the end? It doesn't mean, it's poor at the beginning, you got to go through a whole bunch of months where you're poor, and then only at the end, you're going to be rich. No. Rosha b'tchilasa means hainu lifnei tkiyas shofar. By right before the blowing of the shofar, you're in a state of bittul and spiritual poverty and humility and so on. U'misasheres b'soifa, and the riches at the end means hainu miyad lachar tkiyas shofar. It means immediately after the blowing of the shofar. This is also indicated by the fact that we say by tkiyas shofar min hameitza karosika, I call out to you from the constraints, also symbolized by the narrow end of the shofar, which is in the Baal Tekeah's mouth, and Anani Bamerchav, and Hashem answers us in the broadness. In other words, I call out of narrowness, and Hashem answers in the broadness immediately. Like the shofar, the sound goes from the narrow part to the broad part, so we don't have to wait to the end of the year. It doesn't mean literally the last day of the year. It means immediately after Tkiyas shofar. Let's skip over the parentheses to Eisvav, line 6. The Cholzeh, all of these inyanim that we're talking about now, the preparation beforehand, the avodah in the way of rushing, etc., is ba'oifen danila doidi v'doidi li Rosh Tevis el. It's in the way of I am to my beloved is to me, which is the Rosh Tevis of the word el. The ultimate avoid is it becomes the idea of my beloved is to me. And that's the idea of the home that the Eibishter has down here below. That's what it means, doidi li. My beloved is coming to me. He's coming down to settle here in this world. Shakadosh Baruch Hu Elokeinu, through Hashem being our God. Doidi li. So that's the first step. The first step of the Dir B'Tachtonim process is li, personally, us, Klal Yisrael, Elokeinu. But like we say in all the brachas, Baruch Ato Hashem Elokeinu. What do we say after Elokeinu, our God? The next step is through us, and because he becomes our God, and afterwards it's followed by becoming king of the world, which is the ultimate level of dir b'tachtonim that Hashem has a home down here below. How do we reach that dir b'tachtonim? How do we reach that level of my beloved is to me? This happens through the level of I am to my beloved. Similar to what it says in the Parsha Shavua. It says, that you praised Hashem today, you made Hashem unique today, and in return, Hashem made you special and unique. This means through all matters of the service of a Jewish person. All the service of a Yid is about making Hashem special and giving praise to Hashem, which is ani לדודי. I am turning to my beloved. Nasa inyan of Havaya Mircha comes about the return that Hashem makes us special. Doidi li, my beloved is to me. And then he says, Hachil ma'inyan dechol ha'koyre v'shoyne shaydei zakadosh baruch hu koyre v'shoyne kenegdoi. This begins from the idea that Chazal say, whoever reads Torah shebeksav, the written Torah, and whoever learns the oral Torah, that through that, when a Yid does that, so Hashem sits like across from him, and he is reading the written Torah, and he is also, Hashem is reading, facing him, the oral Torah. That's also from the word hamarta, literally from the word saying. That shemamshichim oisev chinas hamira v'dibur. You are hamarta, and then there's a mircha. There's the speech that we are saying. We are causing Hashem's speech. Like the teaching of the Mizrach Magid and the explanation of what the Chazal say. Know what's above from you. Everything that takes place above comes from you as a result of what we do down here. That all matters that occur above are through the avoid of a person down here below. This has a specific connection with Rosh Hashanah. That's why it says the Havaya, that Hamarta Hayoim. Why does it say Hayoim? Specifically, the word Hayoim today indicates Rosh Hashanah. Ki yadua, as it's known, the Alter Rebbe brings us down, look at the Torah, that Shebechol Mokim Shenamar Hayoim or Rosh Hashanah. That wherever it says Hayoim, it's going on Rosh Hashanah, like the Alter Rebbe and the other Mamar say about it. Skip the parentheses. V'hainu, this means to say, top of page Yud Gimel. Shaydei avodas ha'odam, through the avoid of a person. Be'achon shebechodesh El, in the preparation in the month of Elul. Nasa b'Rosh Hashanah hayoim binyan ha'malchus. So then it happens on Rosh Hashanah, which is the word hayoim. Hashem's kingship, his sovereignty is being built up. And where does the sovereignty of Hashem being built up? Through the 10 utterances with which the world was created. This means because the level of dibur, the dvar havaya, shamayim nasu, the spoken word of Hashem that's responsible for the creation of the world, that has to do with the spheres hamalchus. We know malchus has to do with dibur. That's what it means, Havaya, Hashem spoke you today, meaning he is again saying the Asara Amoris, Sha'akadosh Baruch Hu Oimer Asara Amoris Ba'ifim V'chayis Chodosh, that today, on the day of Rosh Hashanah, Hashem sends again that 10 utterances in a new manner with new vitality. Like it's explained in the Geras HaKodesh in Tanya, at the beginning of every single year. So we say that Nimshach Oir Chodesh Elyon Yoser, a completely new, higher revelation of godliness comes down. That was never shining such a type of light beforehand, and this happens. In other words, the Rosh Hashanah of Tavshin Pei Vav, the godly revelation of Hashem recreating the world again on this Rosh Hashanah like He did in 5,786 years ago, has never been experienced before. Nothing even as high as that has ever been before. Every year it's higher and greater than before. And how does that come about? We said before, because we are learning and we are speaking Hashem's words, so we are renewing by Hashem that He speaks the Asar Amaras as well. Every single Yid is the one that's making Hashem speak these Asar Amaras. What makes me say it's every single Yid? Maybe there's only a few people that do this. He says no, because every single Yid at least finds himself in their field. Maybe they're not in the royal palace. Maybe they're not in the capital. Maybe they're not even in the city. But at least they find themselves in the field. And therefore, because they are in the field where the king is in Elul, v'yesh etzloi rotzen atzmi sheroitze lotzis lahakvul panav. He has by himself this essential will, a will of the essence that every Yid wants to go out to greet the face of Shalom Melech of the king. Therefore, since he has this essential will, therefore he's assured, he is assured and he knows that the king will receive him with a beautiful face and it will show him a smiling countenance. This receiving of the king receiving us in such a type of way, comes down and being written and sealed for good, for a good and sweet year. Heim Bagashmi is both in material needs that we have this sweet year and a good year. Veheim Beruchnis, and also in our spiritual needs. Uba'oifen, the Sur Merava Seitev Bak Shomrat Feiun, such a way of the turning away of bad and doing good, searching out peace and pursuing it. Kfish and Nimshachim B'chol Shoish Hakavin, the way it comes down in all the three lines, like we said. There's this pasuk the way it applies in Torah. There's this pasuk the way it applies in davening and avodah. There's the way this pasuk applies in Gvil Chasadim. Hang kafi shem b'avodas adam atzmi. Both the way they are within the person himself in his avodah, and also we said that these three lines, upon them the world stands. V'hang kafi shepoiler mamidas oilam, and also the way these avodas of Sur Merava Seitov etc. affects the standing and the solidifying of the world. In such a way that it becomes an entirely new world. Because Hashem spoke again the 10 utterances with a new vitality, so it's now like a totally new world. After being prefaced by our doing things with a new vitality in the avodah of Chodesh El, especially when we have the vitality and the energy and life in the avodah, the Chayel effect. So we evoke and elicit by Hashem a new vitality in the creation of the world, and a new strength and a new solidifying of the world. Through that comes down light and blessing, and all the good things are hinted throughout all the letters of the Aleph Beis, which Aleph and Beis, Oira and Bracha is the first. To continue and to conclude the avodah of the month of El out of light and out of vitality and energy and life. In such a way that it should be vitality and life in all of his matters, especially in the matter that I was created to serve my master, out of joy and gladness of heart, like it says, serve Hashem out of joy. Through that he affects himself, not only for himself, but for the entire world, to be written and sealed for good, for a good and sweet year, materially and spiritually together, in a visible and revealed good lamatam asara tfachim, below 10 handbreadths.